Well, glory. Hey, good to be back with you. Been a while. Look, I want to deal with this very urgent matter in that in just a few days from the point that you may first hear this, and you may be only a day away from the important issue of voting when you view this message. Well, I want to talk about the importance of your planting. Your planting, like a flower planted or a tree planted, trees of righteousness, the planting of the Lord. You are plants in this world. You are planted in the field, which is the world, as wheat, children of the kingdom. Well, those of you that are in the United States of America, and I know people are listening and viewing from different parts of the world, but the fact that we, those of us who are living in the United States of America, we have been planted in a place called the United States of America, a republic that's ruled by law, and the law is the Constitution of the United States. And I believe to interpret that Constitution properly, we must be exercised in what is called the Declaration of Independence, so we can know better why the Constitution, and of course the Articles of Amendments. You're talking about the Bill of Rights, those items in the Constitution that keeps us free and protected by the rapacious nature of government. Now, government, any kind of government, can consume its residents. So you have those various articles or Bill of Rights that protect us from the rapacious, carnivorous nature of any government. Well, voting is coming up real soon, and there are people are yet struggling, and I understand the struggle. But we want to eliminate, if not most of, enough of the struggle in order to make a decision. There are three things that you have to consider in voting, especially on the presidential level. You have a person in the President Barack Obama. You have another person in the candidate Willard Mitt Romney, and then you have another P called prayer. All right. Now let's eliminate prayer, and you ask why? Because most of God's people really don't pray. No, forget it. Now, your Monday night prayer meeting, that's all you have going on is a Monday night prayer meeting? Forget it. You're not in the category of praying. Oh, we prayed twice a week. You're still not in the category of praying. In the scriptures, in the book of Acts, when the church came on the scene, big time, it says very clearly that in chapter 2, verse 46, and they continuing daily. I guess that knocks most of us out, huh? Daily with one accord in the temple, breaking bread, house to house, eating their meat with gladness and singleness of heart, praising and having favor with all the people, and the Lord added to the church daily such as should be saved. And you say, well, they're not talking about prayer. They just met. Yeah, sure. I know a lot of us meet every day and we don't pray. Well, I would like to give you a little bit more to think about. Well, there's also, you find that they came together and prayed even the more in chapters 4, when you find that the man was healed actually on their way to a prayer meeting. And you'll find that they were praying again in chapters 5 because they were threatened. You find that they were praying again in chapter 6 when they were having problems, making sure everyone had their needs met. And on top of that, the leaders in church life, Christians. In chapter 6, it said that we will, verse 4, we will give ourselves continually to prayer and to the ministry of the word. So you say, yes, we pray. No, if you're not praying every day, if you're not coming together every day to pray with the believers, then you're not in the category of praying for the nation, praying for the political situation and the immoralities and all the other things that are going on in the United States of America. So, ruling out the majority of God's people who are not praying. And our Father which art in heaven, that's not, you can forget that. All right? That's just an outline that can continue you praying for at least an hour. Yeah, hallowed be thy name. That can last for 20 minutes when you're just blessing the name of the Lord and dealing with his kingdom. That can last you another 30 minutes. And when you're dealing with what's going on inside of you based upon what's going on with other people and how you relate and all of the drama that's going on in relationships, that can last another 20 minutes. The whole bit. So, you have person of Barack Obama and you have the person of Mitt Romney. Now, some people say, well, Barack Obama is out the question because he's a problem personally. Well, I concur with that. He's a problem personally. And because we live in a republic, and let me back up for a moment, because I hear pastors saying, we're not voting for a pastor. Where did you get that from, that we're not voting for a pastor? Look, David was not born again. He was a king. Plus, he was a prophet, and God treated him like a priest. He was church and state, if you please. And when God appointed him, he was a shepherd. He was a pastor. All right? The king was a pastor. And, hey, when you look at some of the other kings, even the heathen king Nebuchadnezzar, God raised him up to bring the people in to protect them until they could go back to the land that they had devoured. Oh, look at Cyrus and Darius in the Medo-Persian Empire. Hey, they were instructed to build a temple and bring the Jews back to some prominence, pastoring the people of God. So don't tell me that you're not voting for a pastor. The Bible says when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. So don't tell me you're not voting for a person that does not have any standing when it comes to doing the right thing the right way. So there is no way you can vote for a man that stands for same-sex marriage. And I want to warn the pastors. Any pastor, I don't care who you are. I don't care how long you've been pastoring. It doesn't matter if you are an apostle or a prophet or an evangelist or some teacher. It doesn't matter. I'm warning you that if you pull a lever for Barack Obama or the Democratic platform, your life ain't worth living. I warn you. That's right. I warn you. You had not better. You better had. What you should not do is vote for that particular person. All right? Not even the platform he stands on that booed God at the Democratic National Convention and didn't want Jerusalem in as the capital of Israel. Ain't studying about Israel. They lie to you, but they're not studying Israel. Okay? So you cannot vote for Obama. You cannot vote for the Democratic platform. Now, what about Mitt Romney? Well, Mitt Romney, they say he's a Mormon and we can't vote for him. He's a cult. Well, everything outside of Christ is a cult. All right? Catholicism is a cult. Denominationalism is a cult. Uh-huh. Everything is a cult outside of the Christ factor. So if you're a Baptist, you're a cult. If you're a Presbyterian, you're a cult. If you're a so-called Pentecostal, you're a cult. Because every denomination is an exclusive expression of the truth that they may have, but at the exclusion of the truth that others may have, and you become party lines. And party lines are called heresies in the scriptures. And heresies are nothing but cultish expressions of Christ. You don't have enough of him. So anything in addition to Christ is cult. So don't hand me this cult business. This Mormonism just happened to be an obvious one, an obvious cult. So yes, Mitt Romney is related to a cult for sure, because Satan and Jesus are not brothers. Jesus Christ, before he became Jesus, was Christ. And before he became Christ, he was the Word in the bosom of the Father. And the Word is God, as well as with God. So out of the bosom of God comes the Word, which is God, to become Christ, which is the express image of the invisible God. Then he comes on the scene in humanity to become Jesus Christ. And then after the resurrection, he's made both Lord and Christ. So the totality of the Godhead dwells in him bodily. And anything other than Christ is cult. All right? So let's kind of rest the case. I wouldn't be a Mormon. I don't suggest you be a Mormon. But I wouldn't be a Baptist either. I wouldn't be a Pentecostal. I want to be like Christ. Okay? So let's deal with the cult. Now, when it comes to the platform of the Republican Party, where life is in the womb, and heterosexual marriages between a man and a woman only. That's what we ought to have. All right? So we can go with what God is concerned about. He's concerned about life and relationships. All the other stuff, the economy and homeland security and all the other stuff that goes along with our concerns. Look, if we don't get the life and relationships right, you can forget about the economy and you can forget about the security. It's a truth. It just won't happen. All right? So, as far as looking, if you please, again, at the two people that are vetted and opposing one another in the election, Obama and Romney, well, if you're looking at business and if you're looking at government, look, if you had to put the persons in view in terms of election, they don't stand on the same ground, period. They really don't. The fact is that before Obama was born, Romney was walking in automobile plants, looking at industry. His father was the chairman of the board and president of American Motors. I lived in Detroit for 32 years. I know about the Romney family. And get this, he was living in government around authority when Obama was still in his diapers, because his daddy was the governor of Michigan when I lived there. And then he was in business because his father, under Richard Nixon, was the Secretary of Housing and Urban Development, and things changed around in the United States under Romney's watch as Secretary of Housing and Urban Development. So here Mitt Romney is constituted with business and government, and then in business and government himself. The man has a whole lot of experience. So if you're looking at just the economy, if you're looking at government that stands alone as such, then it's a no-brainer. Romney is a recorder, not Romney, but Obama is a recorder, all right? He records information given to him from being in the school, learning Islam, from being in government, learning government in school. He's a recorder. He doesn't have any experience. And the experience that he has had for the last 4 years have brought us into the situation that we find ourselves in the United States of America. So it's really no contest. It's a man speaking to a boy. That's what that's about. And like I say, I'm not pinning flowers on Romney. I'm voting for the platform. Just so happens Romney is standing on that platform of the Republican Party. Any other party that you vote for, if the platform has any value, it can't have any more value than the Republican platform. So, hey, get a life. All right? So again, in Proverbs 14, I'm going to wrap it up with this. In Proverbs chapter 14 and in verse 34, it says that righteousness exalteth a nation, but sin is a reproach to any people. Now, I'm not saying that there's no sin to be had on the platform. I'm not saying that there's no sin to be had in the lives of the Romneys. Hey, look, but I'm saying what is closest to a life or platform that can exalt the nation. I was at a commencement at Regent University some years ago, sitting right next to Mitt Romney's wife. Okay, I have a son there that's pretty significant at Regent University with Pat Robertson, and I was sitting there, kind of discerning her spirit. I figured that here's a woman that seemed to be pretty satisfied with life. She's not seemingly fighting with other wives. For you polygamists, the family didn't seem to have a problem wondering whose dad is who and whose child is who. All right. So when you go to the polls, vote the platform. And look, I'm not a Republican and I'm not a Democrat. I'm a Christocrat. Yeah. Just so happened I will be on the platform that's called Republican Party. All right. So for those that are on the Democratic Party, they are now Dem on crack. And those that are on the Republican platform that are not walking the planks of the platform, they are not Republicans, they are repugnants. All right? So here we have it. Take it. See you the next time. God bless.